everybody? Welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. We're on the YouTubes today. If you find us on the YouTubes, smash that subscribe button. Smash that like button. Go to saintshappyhour.com. Become a patron. $7 a month. You get everything we do. If you become an annual patron, you get 2 months for free and you get swag. It's amazing. You should do it. It's going to make your football season even better. It's going to make your Saints experience incredible. All right, Kevin, today I want to talk about, as Andrew continues to be on vacation, wherever he is drunk, I don't know, from the jail in South Carolina. Maybe if we got more patrons, we could raise some money, bail him out of jail. But I want to talk about today for the Saints, Derek Carr, new Saints quarterback. And I want to talk about who is going to be his number one target. Who's going to be his favorite guy? Who's going to be the guy that he's just going to feed the ball to? And the thing is, you look at Derek Carr's history with the Raiders. It's interesting in that last year he had Davante Adams, threw him like 150 targets. He had 100 catches. He just fed Davante Adams. So that's a receiver. But also in the Raiders, like, he made Darren Waller a star. Like, Darren Waller was like a nobody for the Ravens. The Raiders got him, and Derek Carr had 100 catch season. He Pro Bowler, got him paid. So, like, Derek Carr's done it both ways, a tight end and a receiver. So as I look to and he throws a great deep ball, right? But he struggles in the red zone. And the Saints have all these interesting targets now. So I'm trying to figure out, like, if I'm going to bet on who's going to be the Saints' leading receiver, because I'm a gambling degenerate. Like, who would you bet on? Who would you say, I think this guy is going to lead the Saints in receiving in 2023?
So I'm coming at you with some questions here.
Okay.
Is Jarvis Landry still on the team?
He's not on the team.
Okay, it was a 1 year. Okay.
So 1 year. So he's gone.
So now it becomes, okay, so now, and I asked that because Jarvis Landry, it's morning when we're recording this.
That's right.
39 targets last year. So those targets will get spread out everywhere else. Rashid Shaheed, 34 targets last year. That's going to go up because of how well he did.
That's right.
Alvin Kamara, he's probably missing some because he will get suspended. Juwan Johnson, that may go up as a result. Troutman may go up too because, you know, right, you got the two tight ends there. So now I'm starting to think.
Callaway's gone, right? He had 32.
Right, Callaway's gone, so that was 32 targets.
Ingram's probably
gone. He didn't know. 20. He didn't. DA did not really know how to use Taysom enough. Like, Taysom only had 13 targets.
Probably too many. He can't really catch.
So you've got to consider, are they drafting a tight end? Are they bringing in a UDFA tight end? And then will that person see the field? I mean, I had my hopes and dreams pinned on Lucas Krull last year, and we all saw where that got me.
That's right.
So let me put my phone down there because it's buzzing. Chris Olave led the team in receptions last year with 119. That is because Mike Thomas got hurt, of course, in week 3.
120 targets.
Yeah. Well, wait. How many targets did you see?
I see 119 targets for Olave.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, did I say 119?
Oh, you said catches, but
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
119 targets, 72 catches. I apologize. Mike Thomas, injured last year, had 22 targets in the 3 games, which if you extrapolate that out, though, to a 17-game season, that gives you 124 and change, which you round up, it becomes 125. So he would have been the leading, he would have been the leader, and there's no way Olave would have gotten 119 targets unless Thomas was injured. So the question becomes, your front runner is either Thomas or Olave. Thomas has been injured the last 3 seasons, every year since he set the record. He missed time in 2020, 2021, and last year. So you've got to think, no matter how much they're paying him, you've got to be careful with him and make sure that you don't push him too hard and then drive him into the ground. Well, if he's healthy, even if he's at 80%, But if he can play all 17 games, that opens things up immediately. That means Olave will benefit, the 2 tight ends will benefit, and Shaheed will benefit.
Yeah.
If Thomas is healthy. It all depends on that. So to answer your question, I took the long way around, as I'm prone to do. Even if Thomas is healthy and plays all 17 games, I still don't think, or I do not believe, Michael Thomas will be the leading target for Derek Carr.
Here, I'm very conflicted with what I'm about to say because it's good. It could end up being very good for the Saints, but it could be a nightmare for the podcast. Here's the thing. I don't think Michael Thomas, I just don't think he's going to be high. If the Saints get 12 games out of him, 13 games out of him, that's great. So I think you're looking at probably 90 to 100 targets for him. So you're probably looking at like the 70 catch range. I think Olave will go up. I think Juwan Johnson will go up. But Kevin, I'm looking at Shaheed, 34 targets, 28 receptions. We know Derek Carr has an amazing arm talent. We know he loves to throw the deep ball. I think there's a chance that Rashid Shaheed gets into the 100 target range. And if that happens, he could have 75 to 80 catches and lead the Saints in receiving. And people are like, well, why would that be bad? Because if Rashid Shaheed leads the Saints in receiving and catches, Andrew Juge will be insufferable on this podcast. He is already taking a victory lap about his UDFA son winning it every year, creating a dynasty. If not only does he win the UDFA competition, but one of his UDFA children lead the Saints in receiving, he'll be insufferable, Kevin. And while it's good for the Saints, and I want that overall, like, I really don't want that for the pod. I don't want to deal with insufferable freaking Juge every single week. So, like, I want Rashid Shaheed to be good, like 70 catches, 65, a lot of yards, but like leading the team and being the number one
70
guy.
catches probably would lead the team. I mean, Olave had 72 last year, and that led the team. Yeah. So if Shaheed ends up with 70 catches, that probably means he's leading in targets as well. But you almost have to hope Shaheed winds up in that 40, in that, maybe high 40s due to all the players I said who are either
But here's the thing. I think the Saints are going to throw better because I think you had weird things last year. You had the Cleveland game in the freezing cold. Olave got hurt. You had the Carolina game at the end of the year where they couldn't get out of their own way. They had, what other game did they have where their offense? Pittsburgh. The offense was just. Yeah. I think the passing numbers for the Saints were way down last year, and just with Derek Carr, like everything's going to rise. Like
if Mike, so let's say Mike Thomas gives you 12 games. Who played in 12 games last year for the Saints? Rashid Shaheed. He was targeted 34 times. Mike Thomas would be targeted more than that if he played just 12 games. I would say probably close to 70. That gives you 5 targets per game because he's Mike Thomas, and you want to give him that chance.
That's right.
So if let's say Shaheed plays all 17 and you still only get the 12 from Mike Thomas, again, I'm saying Shaheed probably would get as many as 70 targets if he's playing all 17, because you're spreading the ball out more. I honestly think Olave is going to be the main guy. Not to the tune of 119, but close to 100, at least 90, minimum 90.
I think the leading guy, it can't be Kamara because we know he's good.
No, Kamara only had 77.
Yeah,
and 77, and he's going to be gone for 6 games.
He's going to be gone for 6. I think if you wanted to put money on it and make some money, my 2 guesses would be Shaheed, as we just said. I think you're right. I think because remember, Shaheed played a bunch of games where like, hey, Saints, you threw him the ball once, he caught a touchdown. Why don't you give him the ball more? That might be a good idea, Pete Carmichael. Like that was a running theme in 2022 for us, right? So I think he'll get the ball more. I think a sneaky one is Juwan Johnson.
Yeah.
65 targets, 42 catches. I just think Derek Carr, what he did with Waller, I think the possibility of Juwan Johnson getting 110, 120 targets and getting in the 75 to 80 catch range, I think it's possible. And here's the thing with Juwan Johnson. He's a maniac worker. Like, he's one of those guys where, like, he used to be a receiver, changed his body, became a tight end. Like, the equipment staff with the Saints jokes that, like, he's the last one to leave, and he's, like, picking up the towels and helping them clean up. Like, that's how fanatical he is at working. So I just think if you make me pick a guy, I'm not picking Shaheed because I can't want that and deal with Juge being insufferable for the entire season. I can't have that. I can have Shaheed, like, lead the team in touchdowns and have a great year, but I can't have him lead the team in catches, and I can't have it. I can't. So I'm going to go Juwan Johnson. I think Juwan Johnson, I'm going to double his targets. So I'm going to get him to 130 targets and 90 catches. I think Juwan Johnson is going to have a great freaking year, and we're going to be incredibly happy that the Saints signed him for 2 years. That's my prediction.
All right, fine. So if you want to say that, then I'll make these betting type projections.
Here we go.
I would take Juwan Johnson at over 50 catches. I would take Juwan Johnson at over 75 targets. I would take Shaheed over 60 targets. I would take him over 40 catches. I would take Michael Thomas under. Yeah, I'll be bold here. Under 80 targets.
Ooh, that's bad.
And under 60 catches.
Ooh. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know though. Like, if you told me, like, I could have 65 catch Michael Thomas, like, I might take it because it would be like more than what he's given us the last 3 years.
Right.
Like, like, I'd be tempted. I'd be like, like 65 catches is probably like 10 healthy games, maybe 12. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm tempted. Like, if you gave me Michael Thomas, 6 touchdowns, 65 catches, 825 yards, like, I said,
if he gets the ball thrown to him 5 times a game on average, that gets him to week 12 with 70. Or actually, I predicted 80. So that gets him to week 14. So if you get 14 games out of him, that's great. Hell, if you get 12 and he's playing well, again, you're fine. The whole point of this podcast is, I don't think Mike Thomas is going to be the leading target guy. One, because of the injury concerns, but two, I think the Saints would be wise to not try and make him the definitive number one guy. I think you've got a number one guy in Olave. You've got a couple of guys. You've got a guy on the rise in Shaheed. You've paid Juwan Johnson.
Yeah.
And then who knows what'll happen in the draft.
Yeah, that was my final question. As we did this exercise and we try to predict who's going to be the Saints' leading receiver, I look at this group and listen. I know Michael Thomas. His health is what it is. It's tenuous at best. He hadn't played in 3 years, so it's a risky gamble. But I look at this group, Kevin, and I'm like, I don't think receiver. It's not like a must, and it's not even like a need.
No.
It would be more like if there's a guy at 29 or there's a guy at 40 that's just like incredibly high on your board, which maybe because
I can't see who that would be, because all the top wide receivers or all the highly ranked or highly touted wide receivers are all short guys.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
like it is Wes Welker central.
That's right.
And here's the thing. Unless you think one of these guys is going to be Wes Welker, and even Wes Welker was a slot guy.
That's right.
He was the number 3 or the number 2 guy. Why would you use that high of a pick on a guy who's going to be number 3 or number 2 at best on your depth chart?
It doesn't like the receivers.
The tall guys the tall guys are there at what are the 71?
Yeah.
The tall guys start falling. The tall guys start showing up later.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if it's set, if it picks 71 or later, like if the tall guy is your guy on your board and he's the number one, you can take him and you can feel good about it. I just
absolutely
like you said, the thing that receiver, not only is this crop of receivers not really good, it's a double whammy of it's not good, and even most of the good ones, they don't fit with the Saints want another Michael Thomas. They want a big red zone dude.
Right.
This draft is crappy receivers, and the good ones are Smurfs.
Right. The wide receivers, the ones that will wow you, they're already going to be gone. Like I think it's the USC guy, and then there's another Ohio State guy. They're going to be gone.
That's right.
So if, say, what is it, pick 115.
But if they weren't, like if that USC,
you're saying
guy,
if one of them fell to the Saints,
at 29,
I wouldn't. I mean, I would question it, but I wouldn't kill them on it. If one of those guys fell and they took him, I wouldn't kill him for it. I would just say, well, I mean, we had other needs. I would question it, wouldn't kill him. But again, if it's 115 and say Xavier Hutchinson from Iowa State is there. Slight reach at 115, but the odds of him being there at their next pick, which is in the 140s, if they took him, I'd be like, all right, that's when you would take a flyer on somebody.
That's right.
Or that's when you would, actually, it's not even a flyer. You take a guy at 115 or later and say, hey, we're going to give this guy a good shake because I'm looking at the depth chart for the Saints. Keith Kirkwood, Kirk Merritt, Kawan Baker.
Yeah, like they got
Traquan,
Callaway's gone. Like they got the bottom receiver. The bottom of the receiver.
Like that, it's you got Olave, Mike Thomas, and Shaheed wide open after that.
That's right.
Wide open.
And I think for the Saints, I'd like them. Like Jarvis Landry didn't work last year. He got hurt. Like I would love for them to go young, pay a UDFA, draft a guy like you said, Hutchinson in the fourth round, and give us a young guy because then we get to get excited about training camp when they practice in shorts and they catch four touchdowns in the red zone opening week of practice. We get to get excited. Final thing, and then we'll get out of here. Receiver. We talked about who's going to lead. You can't pick Michael Thomas because he's in a world I was on just because he's hurt. He's been hurt for 3 years. But of all these receivers, who would you say is the most likely to disappoint us? Not Michael Thomas. I hate to end on a negative note, but that's what my question. Who's likely to disappoint us?
So I'm going to say. I'm going to say a name, but with a caveat. I'm going to say Chris Olave. And the reason being is because Chris Olave was so good last year.
That's right.
With 119 targets, 72 catches, over 1,000 yards. He had the 4 touchdowns. He's going to get fewer targets. So he's going to wind up with fewer targets next year because I can't see Michael Thomas only playing 3-4 games. And then, I'm knocking on wood when I say that.
That's right.
So he's automatically going to get fewer targets. Rashid will get more targets. Jawan will probably get more targets. They probably will draft a wide receiver or a tight end. That person will get more targets. So he's going to get fewer targets. Thus, he'll get fewer receptions. He's probably going to wind up back around 800 receiving yards.
Ooh, and I don't know about that. I don't know.
I'm saying if Michael Thomas is good enough and gives enough numbers, they can spread this ball around. Yeah. And you got enough guys getting the ball consistently, and the Saints offense is chugging along as a sort of, hey man, we're throwing it all over the damn place and we're spreading the ball around and you don't know which way is which. It'll be good for the offense overall, but bad for as an individual Olave, and people would look at Olave's numbers and say, "Oh man, that's kind of disappointing." Even though Olave is still playing well and functioning well in an offense that distributes the ball around.
I think your point is well taken. The only thing I would disagree with, I think what's likely to happen is the Saints' offense is better, and all the things you say occur. But I think you're being a little bit. You're underestimating. I think Chris Olave could give us a repeat of what he gave us as a rookie, where it's 120 targets, 70 catches, 1,000 yards, and everybody's like, he didn't really get any better. He's the same. But like the Saints offense, instead of being 19th, is like 11th, right? And everything's better. But on the surface, Chris Olave, it's almost identical season. But we're like, if you watch the games, it's completely different. I'm going to give you a guy to disappoint, and it's an easy choice, but I'm going to do it in a completely separate way. I think Alvin Kamara, I really worry that he's going to have a lost season. Like Goodell's going to nuke him. He's going to miss 6 games. It's just going to be unpleasant. And I worry that everything from him is going to decline. Like that's my fear with him. And Derek Carr, like he loves to throw deep. I just don't know. Like I'm curious to see if Carr and Kamara are going to have nice chemistry. Remember, Winston and him did not.
Right.
So we'll see. So I worry that Kamara may be the guy that disappoints us as far as receiving. But I'm sticking with my Juwan Johnson breakout monster year. He's going to lead the Saints. So, but this is a fun exercise again. And I always like it how your draft obsession, no matter what topic we talk about, you always work in some Xavier Hutchinson from Iowa State, some 4th round player in the hundreds on the draft. I love how you do that. You're just our draft aficionado. You're just dropping these names that 90% of people don't know, and you're just like, oh yeah, he's good. So I love that. But guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting Saints Happy Hour. Subscribe on the YouTube. Go to saintshappyhour.com. Become a patron. You get this podcast every single day. Every piece of content we do, commercial free. And if you become an annual patron, you get 2 months free and you get swag. Thanks for Thomas running the show back in Poland, doing an amazing job as always. So for Kevin, I'm Ralph. We will see you again next time.